Okay, I'm just going to do a voiceover for a lot of the clips in this vlog. I'm having a really hard time with my new cancer treatment. It is a chemo pill called Xylota or capecitabine, and it's caused like a lot of stomach problems, tiredness, mood swings, a little bit of dizziness. I was just having such a hard time with it, and I really wasn't feeling well and didn't feel like, you know, posting or making things. But even though that I was feeling like really bad, I still feel like I got a lot done in the month of July. I've also been allowing myself to finally break into the Arches watercolor paper and my nicer sketchbooks. And I can do so much more with a paper that holds layers and layers of watercolor. It just, I don't know why I've been like torturing myself with watercolor paper that can only handle 2 layers when I love doing like 5 to 7 layers. I also had my regular doctor was out of town, and I had another doctor who filled in, and he told me some things that just like weren't correct and really upset me. So I've been like really sad on top of that all. But here we're packing some orders. I got quite a few orders for July. I don't usually get too many in the summer. But the doctor told me we don't usually tell cancer patients this, but it'd be okay for you. And he said that I should lose weight, which was like really upsetting because the one of the drugs that I was on for the past 3 months makes you gain weight and you can't control it. And a lot of it is water retention and like bloating and just it's awful. But now the drug that I'm going on to for the next like 6 months causes you to lose your appetite and it can cause you to lose weight. And I was very upset. I feel like I've like lost my face to like the steroids that they give me for chemo treatment. And you really have no control over that. So I was a little upset about that, but then I was very upset because he told me that I could go back to working with kids, which is what I did before I got cancer. But I'm immunocompromised and I worked with babies, and I've asked 3 doctors if I could have a parakeet because I've had parakeets before and I love them so much. And they said no, that I'm immunocompromised and it would be very risky for me to have a parakeet. But then this doctor says that I could work with kids. My parakeet never came up to me and sneezed into my open mouth or handed me 2 fistfuls of poop, so that doesn't make any sense. So I was like really depressed, and then I was having these crazy dreams. I've been like volunteering with kids since I was like 12, and I just had this one dream where was teaching an art class like I used to do for like a summer camp. And I had a bunch of kids in the room, and it was kids from like different kids from like the past 15 years of working with kids, and they were all the same age. Like there was this little girl from daycare when I used to help my mom when she worked at daycare, and then there was one of my students who's now a high schooler, but like in the dream they were the same age, and I had like all of my students from like different time periods in the room, and I was just having such a hard time. So like that sent me down a really bad spiral because I love working with kids, but I don't think I will ever do it again, at least not in the same capacity. Because even before I was immunocompromised, I would get sick all the time. And before I had cancer, I worked at a preschool as a teacher's assistant, and I got the stomach flu 3 times in like the first 6 months of working there, and that's not including like I got like a sinus infection, and then like the colds, and then the class next door got hand, foot, and mouth disease 3 times in a 6-month span. So I love preschool and I'm good at it, and I'm glad I got to say that I worked as a preschool teacher. But overall, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you love it. I've worked with kids from infants to seniors in high school. I've volunteered or worked in some capacity with every age group. But yeah, and then he said that I can go back to work. And I was like, I had a whole list of things I was trying to talk to him about. And one of them that wasn't high up on the list is I was too dizzy and tired on the medication to drive. And a lot of what he said, it didn't match up to the side effects that I was currently experiencing that I can read on the list that I get when I get my chemo pills delivered. So that whole interaction was weird, and it just made me so depressed. And then my current doctor is moving on, I think, to a different hospital. And so that doctor will be filling in until they find a new doctor, and I'm not too excited about that. But yeah, and then my dog and I tag teamed, and we caught 3 mice. Trixie is not very fast, so we think we maybe caught the mom in a mousetrap, and her babies maybe left the nest and weren't really prepared for the world yet, and we're very slow and hungry. And so Trixie is not fast, and at one point the mouse was standing between all her feet and she could not find it. But we did catch and release, and we caught the mice, and we took them outside. I actually lifted up the couch and she grabbed it. I opened the door and I told her to put it outside, and she did. Oops. But we caught and released 3 mice, but 2 of them didn't make it. They weren't doing very well in order for her to catch them, but I was super impressed because it can go either way with Trixie. She can be a really good listener, or she can be completely chaotic. Here are some more orders that I put together and shipped out. These pumpkins were drawn by hand with a glass pen, and then I filled in everything else. And then that bear behind it, it was lovingly made with a ton of little brush strokes. So I used a light lemon yellow, I think it was, and rose of ultramarine to get all those details. And then I had a misprint, so I made it into a bookmark for this order. And I kept some old shipping material, and it worked perfectly for this odd size painting. And then when I feel well enough, because I usually have more energy in the morning than I do in the afternoon, I've been trying to make sticker sheets. There's kind of a rough autumn theme that I'm working on. So I made these from flowers that I painted last year for an October art challenge. I just picked out my favorites and I made them a little bigger than stamps. And then I'm giving up on this puzzle. It's AI and it's making my brain hurt. So yeah, I think that'll be it for this vlog. And I'll just move on to the next one. And hopefully my next chemo cycle just started, so hopefully I'll be feeling a lot better. Not holding out on that, but we'll see. Oh, my flower. My single flower.